So in this video, I want to show you how we could enable your restaurant managers to suggest a reward that then the regional managers, as an example, could approve. I think this would be a really great way of managing kind of smaller pots of reward that would be controlled by another subset of users, but still gives your managers the freedom and autonomy to suggest who's going to get the reward within their restaurant. So I've done a bit of behind the scenes work to set up all the permissions. But what I'm about to do is go and impersonate one of my colleagues, Sasha, who I've now given permission to suggest a reward within the system. So I'd go in here, I would go and choose one of the recognition cards, which they have flexibility to do. Then I would go and search for the person I'm hoping to recognise and reward. And I can go ahead and do the recognition card as normal, so I can select the value, I can add the message, and I can choose, there's a default here for where it gets shared, but I can add in more things if I want to. And then we have this new bit. So would you like to suggest a reward subject to approval? Yes, I would. I've done some behind the scenes work here to make sure it's setting up the right wallet, but in this instance, I'm showing that Sasha has access to the UK wallet, so we can do linking up. So for example, your restaurant manager would only have access to certain wallets in terms of suggesting rewards. So what that could mean for Burger King is you could decide to have a pot of money that is regionally spread, or it could be per restaurant, which means your regional managers would be able to keep a track of how their pots of money look across their different restaurants in their region. So this example, I've just gone for UK wide, but in your example, it could be, one of your London restaurants, just say the London wallet, or if it was the region, it might say the Southwest region, for example. So I can't select another one. I only have access to one. Otherwise, there could also be multiple in there. And I can go in and suggest £5 as an example. And then I send this. If I've sent a message, I'll just put test. And as you can see, that recognition card goes straight through to Emily. So despite the outcome of the reward, that person's still going to get recognised, which is, I think, really important to maintain that culture of recognition. What I'm now going to show you is if I stop impersonating Sasha, I'm now going to go and find the person who is the approver for that wallet, which is Max Johnson. So I'm going to go and impersonate Max. So maybe he's the regional manager in this instance. Max can also see that this recognition card's gone in. But what Max would then be invited to go and do is look at his recognition approvals. And already instantly, 35 seconds ago, we can already see, you'd see the recognition message that's come in. You can see who it was. They've recognized Emily. They've suggested 5 points, and there's currently 10 points left in the UK wallet. So at this point, as a regional manager, I can approve, I can reject, or I can edit the amount if I think it should be less or more. And then once I've done that, I can send it through. And Emily is then also going to receive the reward points out of that wallet. There's different things we can do here as well. So I can go and check my different groups. So in the case of a regional manager, I would see each restaurant in the list. So I can go and check those all out. I can also go and look at particular recipients. So there might be an example where a restaurant manager goes, hey Max, I suggested that reward to Emily last week. Emily said she hasn't had anything. Can you follow it up for me? And you can go and also look at a pending, approved, rejected, etc. So yeah, just thought I'd showcase that too. I think it's really good in terms of how you could manage that reward process. Of course, the other option is we would have no approvals at all. You could just give out pots of money to restaurant managers. They would be able to then recognise and add reward to that. And of course, not forgetting, we also have the prepaid card option where you could allocate out reward amounts and cards to managers. And they can do it that way. There's also an option, not to complicate things too much, but just to show you that we have plenty of options for you. We have one, if I go and impersonate my good old friend Caleb. So Caleb is just a kind of a generic employee within the Monty's demo site. And so what I want to show you here is whilst he hasn't got any cards allocated to him, he could suggest a submission for a prepaid card. And that's more of a simple form where I'd say, I'd like to go and recognise Emily, and I want it to come from me, or do I want it to come from my line manager? That's up to me. And then I can add a message. And then what happens there is the line manager would be able to select the right prepaid card and the amount should they want to add a reward amount. So there's a couple of different options available to you. But yeah, I was really keen to show you that I think the way it's currently set up, it works perfectly for that regional restaurant manager structure.